What is going on, Jafar? Getting things organized over here. Da. I think it worked. Guys, what's going on? Happy Friday to everybody. We got some painting to do today. This image, man, it's got my number. I don't know when I'm gonna... we get somewhere. Jafar, Chow. I'm gonna go Chow. Welcome. Thank you for being here, bud. Okay, so we have a painting to do that we done an edit of before. You know what? I should open the original image because I don't know if I have that in this file. So let's get that opened up. Oh, I'm doing great, my friend. Thank you for asking. Things are good over here. So while I find wherever I put this file, I gotta get myself organized over here. I keep saying that, and I keep not doing it. Nope, not in there. In there? Nope, not in that one. I don't know where this... Oh, wait, did I make... I don't... Where are these things? Okay, that's enough of this. I think it's here. Here we go. Found it. Okay, so a couple of things. One, while I was painting this, I was listening to the CG Garage podcast with Matthew Bannister of D-Box. It was thoroughly enjoyable. I recommend check it out. I put a link to at least the YouTube version of it, but it's kind of, you can find it everywhere. As far as all of your major podcast apps, platforms, places, social media things. And then, yeah, it's really cool. And there's an interesting observation in it that I'm just now like trying to wrap my head around, which is that The Third and the Seventh by Alex Roman, which came out 10 years ago, Matthew posits that is what set architectural visualization as an industry kind of like firmly in the we will be photorealistic by and large direction. Which I'd never considered before, and I'm not sure what my thoughts are on it. It feels right to me, but I'm not sure what it suggests. But it's interesting, because like we have a couple of firms, obviously firms like Luxagon and Mir, and then the artists that are still working in traditional media or digital analogs of traditional media. But by and large, the work is photorealistic to varying levels of success, but that's like the goal, almost always. And I've been a long time believer that photorealism, just like any other, kind of tool, is a means to an end. Just because something's photorealistic doesn't mean that it's good. You guys have probably heard me say that plenty of times over the past 60, 70 episodes, whatever it's been of this. I think we need to go back and consider that more. Just my thinking. I'm going to talk more about that later, but my head's been going around it. I suggest you guys check it out. It's super interesting. Second thing that I noticed, our very own Michaela, who's often in the streams or checking in later, is on, what am I trying to get to? I'm trying to get to this. She submitted an image for a matte paint competition, which looks super interesting, where she set up like a base render, and then the idea is to use assets from matte painting or otherwhere, from matte paint, their website, and go through and paint it. And she provided this lovely base and a nice little note. Thank you, Michaela. For this cool image, we got some Kit Bash Dark Fantasy in here. We got some Jama's Crazy Cool Nights, and a whole sea of passes. And I am very happy to see. Look at all of these depth passes that we've got to play with. Yeah, I am excited about this. Very excited about this, and I hope some of you will try your hand at editing this guy and making something cool. It's going to be super exciting. I think it's a cool composition to start with, and a cool little story being told, some cool textures already in there. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. So, matte paint. I don't think that it's posted on their website, but if you go to matte paint on Photoshop or go to Michaela's page, if you guys are friends with her, you can find it there. Way to go, Michaela, and I can't wait to see what everyone does with it. I'm going to do something with it, hopefully, if I can find the time, but that's the plan. Okay. Now to Paintovers. Let's, what size is this image at some point? I resized this a couple of times. That's where I think we end up. This image, let's resample this guy down. Ooh. Let's resample this guy down so that we can compare it directly as we wait Photoshop to do its thing. I'm happy with where this has got, but I'm not like thrilled, and I wanted to be thrilled. And 2 hours of painting, I feel like there's still so much that I need to learn about painting itself. But I feel like there's also like a roadblock, and you guys have seen this happen like a bunch of times when I'm looking at like a more or less finished image or a well rendered image of like painting over and getting rid of detail that I know I'd have to paint back in, and then looking at my own work, that adds like another level of kind of filter to what I'm looking at, which makes it hard for me to just kind of like step back and look at it objectively. So that's all just to say, a lot still to learn on this guy. But here's the painting. Let's look at the progress on this guy. So this is where it got up to. I painted for the last 2 hours. I finished like, just long enough to render out a time lapse of the painting. So this is what we started from, much brighter. I like the direction that this is going overall, but I still don't look at it and say like, God damn, that's awesome, which is like always what you're after, right? That's always my goal, is to feel like, God damn, that's awesome. And I'm not sure what the answer is, and I feel like I still have that disconnect between what I think I can see in my head and what is actually possible to show, and they don't line up. But so this is the final painting. This is where we started from. Now this is the actual image that I made 5 years ago, starting from this as a base render. We've come a long way, at very least. That's a hell of a lot better than this guy is, so that's something to be said. But it's not great yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to give up on this. Even saying that doesn't sound right. If I ever get this image figured out, we will return to it. But let's watch the painting process. What's going on? Oh, Mike Dugenio is here. I don't know how to say your last name. Dugenio? Mike, good to see you. It's been a while, buddy. Cheers to you. Let's fire up this time lapse, shall we? Sandy check. Yep, got the right one going. So we started with the sky to edit this guy together, and let's we gotta move the chat. Otherwise, I'm never gonna see you guys, and that's never the goal. So let's just move this thing over here, something like there, and then we'll make it super skinny. I wish I had a few more pixels over on the left here, what Discord server are you talking about, Jafar? I'm curious. But I'm guessing Dujan is your screen name on some Discord server. So we kind of tried out 2 quick skies, and just kind of starting the basic way that I've done any of the paintings of a render, which is like get a sky in there, try to get the plate to kind of match that, and then start painting over it. One of the things that we're going to see for a little while here is I kind of go through and dance around the building itself. Now, theoretically, you would think the building is the most important part of an image, the hero building or the building that you're making a rendering of. I should be spending most of my time painting that. And yet I don't. And I think it's because, like, there's all the detail there, and I think I just mentioned this, but I'm just going to repeat myself. It is a Friday after all, folks. But I kind of like dance around messing it up, I think out of like a lack of confidence in being able to paint it back together. The answer to everything's practice, right? At the end of the day, you just got to practice more. And I realized that the AC is still going. I'm going to turn it off. Daniel, welcome. Thank you for coming by, bud. We are still looking at this image that we did an edit of 2 weeks ago. And I'm just not sure if I'm going to get it figured out. This was just trying to kind of get some colors into place that I liked a little bit more. I did. You guys heard me complain about having that scroll bar on the left. And it turns out you can just change it, which was awesome. Way to go, Exposure X5 on making things editable. But yeah, I was kind of hoping for like a one-click cure, I think, on this, which, we're all guilty of, right? Just like saying like, if we just did one thing, can we do one thing real quick? The easy, beautiful button, press it, and have things come out, and that didn't work. But we're gonna go back and keep painting. Yeah, this is... It's good always, I think, to be reminded of how much you have to learn. So that's maybe the best thing out of all of this. And you can see here, like, look, like there's so much to be done on this image, and I'm like painting details to start. Like the fear is real, folks. It is real. I wonder what like a concept artist would do with this. Like someone who like does digital paintings for a living. I'd like to see that. Like, what would they do? Like, take this image and make it yours. I feel like that would be really insightful. If anyone knows a concept artist or someone who paints for a living that wants to take it on, let me know. I would love to see it. It's been a fun process though, and I'm going to continue trying to get better at this. If nothing else, my inability to do it as well as I feel like I should be able to or want to be able to is a suggestion that there's still so much to learn. And look, I'm painting details. One thing that I can say that I haven't learned, but I do know, is that I shouldn't be focusing at details at the beginning here. But you do what you got to do to warm up, I guess. So yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. How's everybody doing? What are you guys up to today? Coronavirus keeps getting worse here in the United States. I'm pretty sure we're going to be going back into like a massive lockdown altogether everywhere. We're posting the biggest numbers we've seen since this thing started. Now, end of June, where we're supposed to be back to normal, which, there's only a very specific set of people, I think, that believed that. But the fact that we're like worse off now and on a worse trajectory now than we were 3 months ago, 4 months ago, however long it's been a while. Since the beginning of March? So March, April, May, June, 4 months ago. Not good over here. Not good. We'll see what happens. I don't have a lot to say today. Mark, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. We're doing some painting. I don't really have anything specific to talk about today. I was really hoping that I was going to get this image to a point where I was like really excited about it. But for those of you that tuned into last week's Paintover Friday, I kind of talked about, I have the feeling I'm going to paint on this and just get to a point where I need to really restart the whole image. And I didn't do that this time. Maybe that's what I should have done. Maybe that was the mistake. I'm really treated this like, we paint over, you can see right now I'm not really changing anything. I'm just changing it from like photorealistic to painting with the smear brush tool or the mixer brush tool right now. We do make some big strokes towards the end of this that I think help. But yeah, I don't think I go as big. I mean, this is effectively kind of the same as what it was before. Just smudge. So yeah, I feel like that's more a mental block than a technical one. Which is, I think, an interesting thing that I see a lot in myself when I'm working, and also in like other artists when they talk about what they can and can't do, or what they're willing to try and everything else. Which is that like we're afraid to do things. We don't want to make mistakes. And this is something I've talked about, I feel like, a lot on this channel, especially back towards the beginning, which is like that willingness and like wanting to make mistakes is how you get better, right? Like I remember when I was a young boy and my dad was taking us skiing, and obviously when you learn how to ski or snowboard, you fall a lot, and my dad was always like, falling means that you're learning. You can't learn to get better at skiing or really anything without kind of falling along the way. But somehow like that message never got really, I feel like, internalized. And I feel like every time I want to do something, my natural inclination is if I can't do it well, not to do it. And then because of that, like, you never start. And my hat's off to the people that don't get put off by that. I know that it's something that I'm still fighting with all of the time, of like, oh, I don't want to show that I can't do something yet, and I don't want to admit that to myself that I need to, you know, really spend some time and continue learning something. But with that, if you don't embrace that, if you don't accept that, then you're just kind of stuck there. So more mistakes. That's what we need. We need more mistakes, or failures even. There was a while when I was trying to, what was it for? It was for, I think I was trying to learn how to draw something. Not in my latest attempts to try to learn to draw people. Before that, because I've started that process a bunch of times. But the goal was one failure per day. Like, literally, the goal wasn't to get any better. The goal wasn't to practice. The goal was to try something and to make a mistake, to fail. And then if I'd done that, I would consider my practice to have been complete, and I could continue or not continue based off that. But when you reframe it that way, where the actual goal is failure, the goal is not to practice for an hour, the goal is not to learn something new or anything else. The goal is, on whatever the topic is, the goal is one failure. Do one thing that you're not proud of that's a mistake. It really kind of changes your perspective. I feel like I need to bring back some like mental affirmation stuff of like, that's what you need to be practicing. Pick a skill that you want to learn, practice failing. Yeah, it's time to bring that back. That's definitely true. So continuing to kind of rough things up a bit. At some point we're gonna see. I'm gonna copy this image. I'm gonna take it into a new layer and make it even smaller. I think I'm only working in like 2,000 pixels right now. I've downsampled it from its final resolution. I could make the excuse that it's for brush performance. That's not the case. The real thing is that by making it smaller, the details are less distracting painting over them, because they start to obviously blur and disappear and merge away. Feng Zhu, in his Feng Zhu School of Design tutorials, which I don't know if any of you watch, if you're interested in painting stuff, or really just kind of concept art and composition and arty stuff, which I assume you are because you're watching this channel, I highly recommend it. I think that his channel is Feng Zhu School of Design is the name of his YouTube channel. But one of the things that he does a lot when he's doing paintings, regardless of whether they're starting from a blank canvas or a render or photos, is he downsamples them and works like pretty small, like under 2,000 pixels. And then once he can get it there to a certain level that he likes, he scales it up and starts adding in details. And I've kind of always thought, oh, but you're just going to end up with all these pixelated brushstrokes and everything else. Why not just keep it small on your screen and keep painting that way? But I think I see the difference is that it's a mental difference, I think. At least that's what I'm feeling it as. I look at it differently than if I'm looking at like a full canvas of final resolution. When I downsample it to like I don't know what I downsample it to, 1,000 pixels maybe. It just feels different working on it. And I think if you probably do that over and over and over again, you learn how to recreate that feeling. But who knows? Who knows? So many things to practice and learn, and only 24 hours in the day. Wish I could stop time. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Guys, tell me something interesting. What's going on? What are you guys thinking about? What are you guys working on? How's work going? Have you guys started to see any difference in work as a result of the pandemic? Is it starting to come back at all where you are? Is it still kind of a little depressed, or is it no change? I've heard kind of different things from everybody. But otherwise, I'm just going to keep rambling. God knows what I'll say. Could be anything. Yeah, I tried a lot. I messed around a lot with the mixer brush tool here in this painting. It does mess things up pretty quickly, and it might be good for messing things up. I do see some artists use it really successfully. I don't like it. I don't like that it just removes texture, whereas a brush stroke, depending on the brush you're using, adds texture. So I don't know if I just need to figure out the settings a little bit more, but still can't quite get it to do what I want it to do. But such is life. What else? What else we got going on? I don't know. Next week, we have some interesting things. We have some big news next week. Get ready for it. Not sure on what day. But I have some cool things planned. We're going to do a little bit more Procreate, which I think is going to be interesting. And I might try and do the painting that I started talking about, the Paintover challenge from Matte Paint. Maybe I'll do that live. Or maybe I'll do it and then play it live. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you prefer the time lapses, which we can see more in less time? Or do you guys like seeing me doodle through things and slowly figure things out? Still trying to figure that out. And I'm still trying to balance like the time issue. Right, doing it this way takes more time than painting it live. If we painted it live, I get more self-conscious, which I'm still trying to figure out. And it takes a lot longer to get it done. So we need to find some happy medium. I don't know what that is. But we'll get there. We'll get it figured out eventually. Yeah, oh, we just missed, or we are. Yeah, so this is the lower resolution file, and you can see like I'm just forcing myself to repaint details by painting out all of like the rendered details super duper heavily. And I wish I had done this at the very beginning, I think. So I do two things. I paint over all of the details and remove them, and then I'm just making like a kind of wire render or line render, so that I have a guide to paint under, right? Like I don't just, obviously we want to keep the perspective of the windows right and put them in the right places, right numbers, all that kind of fun stuff. And by using like that just very cheaply fined edges, or I think I use Simplify to do it from Topaz, it gives you a place where you can paint in the right spot, but not have to actually paint over the details, which I feel like then you just go lighter and lighter and lighter. Clark, welcome, my friend. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate that. We're looking at my inability to fix this image. I think we continue to improve it, but I think that, excuse me, I think that maybe the problem is that I never had like a clear idea for this image. I did pull up some reference, and again, we ran into that issue of like I couldn't find any reference that that matched what I was after. And you know, I've mentioned that that's a red flag. It's something I talk to clients about a lot, and for whatever reason, we're just continuing to push on, and try and figure out this image. And I think that it just needs to be rethought. I think that giant building is, what's the name of that architect? He was the dean of this Yale School of Architecture. I always forget his name. I really dislike that building, the tall building in the background of this image. And that's realistic as far as the actual size of where it is, but I feel like compositionally I should have cheated that more. it's very much a visually competing element to the building we're trying to look at. Maybe just cropping in on it would have helped. I feel there's a lot of things that I could have done to fix that. I don't really change anything compositionally here, which is not so much because I don't think that there are compositional things to change that could be better, that building being the number one element of it, but more just it's a different challenge, right? What can you do without changing the composition? I have a whole folder, I think, of compositional ideas for this image from when I was, making it all those years ago, or at least I did at the time. And this was ultimately the one that the client chose. But I was also, I had a different process back then. I wasn't as forceful on making sure that we got a good composition. And I don't think that this is a bad one, but I don't think it's a great overall composition. All things told. And I think now, if I was doing this image with a client again, this camera option probably wouldn't be one that I'd even present. At least not with some cheating. Clark, that's a great question. And for anyone listening and not reading the chat, Clark asks, I like the direction you're in, but I posed the question, when struggling with the composition, at what point do you go back to the drawing board and rework the project? Professionally, I don't show anything until the composition is good. So, at least now. So if I was working on this professionally, I wouldn't be in 3D, I don't think, right now. I think, this is the second time I've edited this for the live streams, and neither one I'm thrilled about. I think if I was working on this professionally, I would have gone back to the drawing board a long time ago, and reworked the lighting, reworked potentially where the camera is, or anything of the like. What happened? We'll go back to this guy. I think you go back much further, much earlier than I am right now. Now, I'm not, because who knows what plugins I was using back then that I don't have installed anymore, and that seems like a giant hassle, but maybe that's what will put this thing to bed. I think the reason that I can't put this one to bed is that at least in when we were talking to the client for this image initially, the idea was to go moody, and I was really excited about that, and I missed that opportunity. And most ArcViz ends up being bright blue skies or like saturated dusk images and the like, which is all fine and good and fun, but I really wanted to do better than I did on this one. So maybe that's why I can't let it go. Maybe that's what we got to do. Maybe I've got to open this guy back up in 3D and make an image that was like, this is what I should have made. This is what I would make if I started again now. I feel like I just committed to that. But I do think that this is going to continue to bother me until I can present something to you guys that says, this is the image that I should have made. And I don't think that this is it currently right now. I think this is better than it was, but it's, again, if we click through the things, raw render, the image that I made 5 years ago, not awesome. The first edit, meh. I don't know if you guys get the same feeling when you look at this, but I look at this image and I kind of think, meh. And when I look at this, I think, a little bit better. I like that the whole thing got darker. Daniel, I think that you're absolutely right that the subject's not clear, and I don't know if you were noticing or not, like I do go and adjust the contrast along this edge like a bunch of times. But we're still very close to this other building, which does have a lot of contrast in and of itself, arguably more. Actually, not arguably, definitively more. I do wonder. Let's just go and paint. We're gonna do my favorite way to make something disappear into the background, which is to kind of paint it out. And then we'll reduce the contrast, as long as we're just kind of thinking through the issues. But I do think that we're in a situation where the problems are kind of fundamental. See, now they just like match in tone. So the question is like, we can't go completely light on this because that would suggest a very different atmosphere in the scene. And if we go dark, it competes. So what is the answer for that problem? The answer is move the freaking camera. Yeah, that I don't think helps. Well, I mean, it helps with that one problem, but it doesn't help the image as a whole. Yeah, Clark, you're right. I'm committed. We have to fix this. These are the growth opportunities, ladies and gentlemen. I do wish that this whole image was in 3D, because I only have what photography I have of this site. But hey, we must all work within constraints, and constraints are great. I don't know when we'll get to this, because this is a bigger endeavor, but we are going to return to this. At some point, I'm going to make an image of this building that is moody, that I think a client would also like, that I am excited about. Yes. That is the plan. Yeah, we're going to do that. I have a decent amount of things going on at the moment. I'm not going to make any promises as to when, but at some point, folks, we're going to look at this thing, and I would be proud of what it is. But at least it's getting better, and we're learning things and recognizing things. I think it's definitely better than that. That much I can say with confidence. But then I could also have said that about this one, which was the last one we did. Oh well. Guys, that's all I've got for you today. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you for coming by and hanging out. I do appreciate it. We're gonna solve this thing. One way or another, this thing's gonna get solved. That much I'll promise. But when and how and who knows what. Who knows what the final thing will be. That's what we're trying to figure out. So yeah. We will talk to you all soon. On Monday, as a matter of fact, at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Until then, be well, guys. Be kind to one another. Thank you for coming by and hanging out and participating in the chat. I very much appreciate it. We'll see you Monday. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do on Monday yet, but I never do. It'll be fun. Until then, have a great weekend. Yeah, cheers, beeps, and boops it is, Clark. Cheers, beeps, and boops. Beep. Boop. Did I miss the button? I think I missed the button. How's that for awkward? Should we try it again? Cheers. Told if you don't take a sip afterwards, it's bad luck. Let's try this again. Beep. Boop.